Was it a good thing that Barcelona drew 1-1 against Newcastle for the first leg of the Champions League round of 16? Culers, first of all, thank you for being here on another video. In this video, I'm going to be arguing that this was actually an amazing result, a great result actually. And I know that sounds a little bit controversial because it's a Champions League, round of 16. We would expect a victory. But I actually wrote down 3 reasons why I think that this was actually on my phone, why I actually think that this was a great result for Barcelona. And I think that the third reason actually ties in well with the reason why I'm making this video, which is namely being that historically, Barcelona at this stage in the season, looking forward to the second leg, either round of 16 or quarterfinals, whichever it is, it's always a bit nerve-wracking. But I think that this time is different because of these 3 reasons. So I'll just begin talking about them, right? So for reason number 1, I wrote down that this was a difficult stadium, right? So here, historically, I pulled up the results of Newcastle. Historically speaking, Newcastle in the Champions League, at least, right? Not in the Premier League, in the Champions League, at the St. James Park, they have been known to be a pretty solid team. So for example, this season, the first game they lost to Barcelona 2-1. Okay. But then their second game at home was against Benfica. And that same Benfica, by the way, which, maybe this Champions League campaign wasn't their best. But we're talking about the same Benfica who just played against Madrid, right? 3-0, they defeated them at the St. James Park. Then the next match was against Athletic Club de Bilbao. 2-0, they defeated them at the St. James Park. Then their next match at home was against PSV. 3-0, they defeated them. Their next match wasn't at home. It was away at the Parc des Princes, PSG that they played. The game drew level at 1-1. Then they defeated Karabakh 6-1, right, in the playoffs recently, in the round of 32. And then in the second leg at the St. James Park, they defeated them 3-2. So my first reason is because of the difficult stadium. Maybe in the Premier League, we could say that Newcastle haven't been the best, right? They've lost to, for example, like Brentford recently, 3-2. But in the Champions League, at least, we all know automatically the Champions League it brings out the best of you. So we have to, I think it's a different comparison. We can't look at the Premier League and try to make like a judgment right there, which is why, I could bring up, for example, like the Manchester United game, right? But I just think that the Champions League is a different atmosphere. Well, in the Champions League, if we take a look at Newcastle's last 5 games, right, since Leverkusen, they played at Leverkusen away. They drew 2-2. Then they beat PSV 3-0. Then they they tied to PSG 1-1. Then they beat Karabakh 6-1. And then they beat Karabakh again 3-2. So in the last, what you could say this is 5 matches, right, before playing Barcelona, Newcastle hadn't lost a single game. And on top of that, they smacked 6-1 against Karabakh. So it wasn't going to be an easy stadium at all. Like, in light of the fact that they were going to come with the momentum of not having lost in their last 5 Champions League matches, it was not going to be an easy stadium. So that's my first reason, the difficult stadium. Now, still tying in with the difficult stadium reason, if we took a look at the 2023-2024 season, in that season, they did lose a couple matches at home, like, for example, to AC Milan, 2-1. They also lost to Borussia Dortmund at the stadium, 1-0. But then they beat PSG in this stadium, 4-1. So, like, that already begins to show that Newcastle, they may, you could say they may sometimes play bad at their home stadium in the Premier League especially, or even against some Champions League teams. But we're talking about AC Milan, we're talking about Dortmund, right? But then they beat PSG, so they can be unpredictable. I guess I'll say that. They can be unpredictable when playing at home. So it was already going to be a difficult stadium. So that's my first reason. Reason number 2 is that this was away at a Champions League, right? It doesn't matter who it is. When you're talking about the round of 16 away in the Champions League, it's always a difficult match. Champions League teams are always expected. It doesn't matter who it is. They are always expected, especially at this level, round of 16. They're always expected to at least win, even by 1-0 at their own home stadium. Just by that fact alone is why this was also going to be, I guess, ties in well with the first reason, a difficult stadium. It was going to be a difficult game because Newcastle were expected to win this match, especially because the second leg is at the Camp Nou. You could just tell that their game plan was beat Barcelona, right? give them all you got, attack with everything you got, get the best result, and then in the second leg, just park the bus. Premier League teams aren't really known for parking the bus. Like, they don't really play on the low block. But in the Champions League, that it was likely going to be the most expected thing from Newcastle. Now, I think that this also ties in well with the first reason, which I kind of forgot to mention, which is namely being that even away from home, Newcastle have been known to pull off some decent results. Like, for example, against Union this season, they beat them 4-0. They just lost 2-1 to Marseille. They drew level to Leverkusen away, right? The same Leverkusen who just tied to Arsenal. They drew level to them 2-2 away. And then they drew level to PSG 1-1 away. So, you know, I guess this ties in more with a reason why the second leg might not be so easy, right? At the Camp Nou, it's at the Camp Nou, but it's Newcastle. They're again unpredictable. But that's my first and my second reason. So first reason, difficult stadium. Second reason, away at the Champions League, which ties in well with the first reason. It's a difficult stadium and it's going to be a difficult game because it's away in the Champions League. But now the final reason, which is I think the cherry on top, Barcelona's history. If we are called to remember, right, Barcelona have played in Rome. They've played in Turin, right, Juventus, Liverpool, right? All these games, Atletico de Madrid, 2016 Atletico de Madrid, then 2017 Juventus, 2018 Roma, 2019 Liverpool, 2020 Bayern Munich, you could say it was a neutral stadium. Then 2021 PSG, 2022 I don't think 2022, I'm pretty sure that might have been the season where we actually got sent to the Europa League, and then same thing with 2023. And then 2024 again, PSG, and then recently 2025, Inter. So historically speaking, I may have missed a couple years right there, but historically speaking, Barcelona have tend to, you could say, choke these types of games. Even I believe it was Gerard Romero who said that this game, had it been Xavi managing it, or anybody else that wasn't Hansi Flick, Barcelona lose this game like 2-0, 3-0. And I really do believe that. In fact, if this was if Ter Stegen had started this match and not Joan Garcia, we would have lost this game at least 2-1, 3-1, or possibly even 0, because I think Barcelona would have given up at the end. So Barcelona, that's again, it ties in well with Barcelona's history. The players that we've had in the past, they've choked. Now we have a new squad, even to the brink of a new goalkeeper, right? And now a new manager as well. The mentality is different. Despite the fact that we are playing at a difficult stadium, at away in a Champions League match, in light of the fact that we've historically choked at these stadiums, drawing level 1-1 in a last-minute penalty, deserved penalty, I think gives us a great result, because now Barcelona can go to the Camp Nou comfortably, and all they have to do theoretically is score one goal. They're going to be looking to score more goals, obviously, but Barcelona are going to give it their all. It's like all or nothing. We cannot lose to Newcastle. Again, it's still not going to be an easy match, but it would have been much better, right? Or, I'm sorry, it would have been much more difficult if Barcelona did not win this game. If Barcelona lost to Newcastle at the Camp Nou, we would have had to complete a remontada. And Newcastle would have set back. They would have parked the bus. It would have been much more difficult. Now Newcastle are forced to push out. They're going to be forced to push out. They're not going to be, comfortable with just sitting back. So it'll be much better, I think, in my opinion. Which is why, again, I think that this was a great result for Barcelona ultimately. But yeah, coolers, those were my three main reasons. Difficult stadium, away to Champions League, and then Barcelona's history. Drawing level 1-1 at the St. James Park, I think that this was a great result for Barcelona. For many people, obviously, they would have preferred a win. A win would have been a divine victory. But strictly speaking, in human terms, I think that this was a great performance. Ultimately, in my opinion, it could have been a lot worse. A 1-1 result at the St. James Park, come on. Anybody will take that result. But yeah, coolers, that was it for this video. Up next, we're going to look forward to Sunday's game against Sevilla. It's going to be a difficult game as well. It's at the Camp Nou, but yeah, it's going to be difficult simply because Barcelona have to rest some players in light of the fact that we played Newcastle and still Sevilla, so it's going to be a difficult game. Hopefully we get the win, but yeah, coolers, for now, that was all. Thank you guys for being here. Please remind you guys to please like, subscribe, share it, and comment so that, we continue to grow the channel together. Thank you, coolers, and I hope that you guys all have a blessed day.